Okay, I have an image. Thinking of noises, disturbing noises. Image flashes back to about 1965, before. There was an Uncle Sam's Army in Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And I was in a private, and because of being a private, I was living with all these other privates from all over the country. And here I had just walked out of medical school, big egghead type, and wanted to do music, to write music. That's why I walked out of medical school, to do music. And here I am listening all day long to music that I hate, rock and roll, loud music. So instead of writing the music I want to write, I'm stuck being drafted here into the Army. Well, they told me if I didn't enlist, I'd draft me, so I enlisted. So the images, I'm getting so angry about that noise. I pick up that radio on this guy's bed, double-decker bed, and I throw it right out the window. I threw it right out the window. Of course, he came and pummeled me for that. He pummeled me for that. Beat me up. But it was worth it. I felt it was worth it. Now, what does it have to do with this situation? Some things are worth it. That's it, you know. Person gets to a point, sometimes, I get to a point sometimes, maybe you do, where you're willing to pay the price. In this case, I so much wanted to come back to the Aretz, to Israel, to try to do my work, because 9 years I was in the United States and I couldn't find a way to connect to things. Couldn't figure it could. I tried going to New York, peddling my shows, negative. Tried peddling my shows in Miami area, negative. And then I got some video equipment and started playing around learning how to do that. So then I felt, now I'm feeling if I have some skills, I want to go back to Israel and do something with it. I can't find a project to connect it and people to relate to in the United States. Meanwhile, Mother is 101 years old. Robert's in a wheelchair, Brother Robert. So 9 years went by until one day, well, Mother, you're getting very belligerent. You're starting to criticize me and say that I'm not doing what I should be doing and all this, and here I am giving up all this to be with you here. Well, that was like that's the last straw, Mother. Okay, Mother? If you don't appreciate what I'm doing for you, well, then I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave. That plus all the other things I need to do. So that tips the balance. I'm leaving. I'm going. Well, I'm going to die and it'll be all your fault. It'll be all your fault. See, now that's a trip. That's my projection of this critical side of myself and onto my underdog self. The top dog criticizes the underdog. Okay, but the image gave me power to deal with that. Because, like I said, person has a center, and when you contact your center, like I just did with this image, your soul, that's like a voice. A macrocosmic idea being sucked down into the microcosm is the way Rabbi NACHMAN talks about it in one of his essays. That the prophets nurse on a particular something or other. In other words, suck on something. Yeah, the prophets suck the images down from the macrocosm into the microcosm. In this case, the image of going back to 40 years ago, when I was 22 years old, or 45 years ago, almost. No, exactly 45 years ago. So that image came back from 45 years ago, and that was like That's what we call, Plato calls, anamnesis. And here it happens right here. Plato talked about it 2,500 years ago, and here it happened right here and now. What is anamnesis? An means not. Amnesis means not to. Amnesis is forgetting, to forget. So not to forget. In other words, a kind of active remembering. Now what are you remembering? I had a conflict. Two sides stuck. So the basic ideas of this dialectical process we're doing here of thesis, antithesis, synthesis, the basic idea is the thesis, the one side. The antithesis, the other side, and the synthesis is the integration in the two of them in a higher idea. Now in this case, so anamnesis means going back, remembering the most basic ideas. So we're doing a process like this, the most basic idea, one of them is the thesis, and another one is the antithesis, and the other one is the synthesis, because that dialectic is the work, what we call the logos, the Word of God. Plato called it the demiurge. It's the work of God being done in this world. In Likutei Moharan number 7, he talks about an angel. He calls it Eglah. Eglah. An angel that somehow encompasses the two voids, the two tehom, two abysses. That's the macrocosm and the microcosm. And an angel is a force that does the work of God in this world. So that's the dialectic here. The dialectic is a process that encompasses the higher ideas, the macrocosmic ideas, and the microcosmic ideas of this world. The Platonic ideas, the ones that we need to do a process like this to remember, and the regular ideas. Okay, so in Judaism, you find it all over every major Jewish philosopher. Major ideas: Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. It's all over, especially Likutei Moharan, you see it there. Yaakov is the synthesis. Abraham is the thesis. Yaakov, Yitzchak is the antithesis. And Yaakov is the synthesis. In what sense? So we started off with awareness. Here I'm aware of this, I'm aware of that. Then the opposite of that is two things you're aware of, then in conflict. So that's Yitzchak. And the higher integration, the action that allows you to integrate those two and move on in your life, that's symbolized by Yaakov. So we have the right pillar of the Sefirot, Chochmah, Chesed. That column is the Abraham one. The left pillar, Bina, Gevurah, that's the Yitzchak side. And the middle pillar is the Yaakov side, the action. Okay, so in this case, going back to my little project, my little experiment here, I was torn between mother saying, you should feel ashamed of yourself, and me saying, I have a right to my needs also, and I have also a mission that's even as important as our mission here, you and me, in Israel. So, by going into the void, doing anamnesis, surrendering to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the dialectic, the angel Eglah. Why did he call it an Eglah, by the way? He point in Likutei Moharan 7. The root there, Eglah means a bull. He meant in the interpretation, the editors point out that Taurus, the bull, is associated to this somehow. So the word Eglah means bull. An angel that's somehow shaped like a bull. But if we use a little bit of philosophy that I'm sure NACHMAN of Breslov knew about, the word Egla has the same roots as igul. Igul means circle, circling. Now what circles? The dialectic, the spiraling dialectic. I'm torn between x and minus x. I somehow find my way out of that. Move up to being torn between y and minus y. Move out of that, get up to z and minus z. Okay? So it's a spiraling, ascending, it's a circle. And Aristotle says, and this is one of the key passages that Maimonides brought down from Aristotle into Judaism, that the most important kind of motion is local motion. What is local motion? Local motion is in a circle and in one place. So what kind of motion is in a circle in one place that also progresses? A spiral. You move from the bottom, and that's Jacob's ladder. One beat of the dialectic, the next beat of the dialectic, the next beat of the dialectic. So in this case we did one beat of the dialectic. I had torn between mother and myself, my own needs. We moved up from x minus x to y. The new idea is I have a higher purpose, a higher mission that I need to do, and it was worth the price. Mother, it was worth the price. I was worth the price. Here I am in Israel, struggling at age 67 to do a little bit what I can do, and it was worth the price, because you were taken care of by Robert, and you could have been taken care of by Barbara if you would agree to go there, but no, you had to be too stuck to your own independence. You wanted to be alone, so everyone has a right to commit suicide, and you more or less did that. Barbara could have taken you over there, but you wouldn't go. I know you wanted to be with Robert, but you could have found a way to bring Robert with you to Oregon. Okay, but you didn't do it. Alright, so I moved up to Y, moved up the angel, the dialectic. I moved up from one level to the next level up. And here I am at Y.
So that's the good wind. And that's this, in that sense, that's what he calls here the melody of life. The melody of life is this good wind that is when we operate inductively with awareness. I'm not saying we should only use awareness. We should forget about rational deductive thinking. It's a matter of emphasis, of course. Maybe my reference point here is the theory of prophecy of Maimonides. I keep coming back to that. It's such a wise point of view and a guide for the perplexed that when any big idea, the divine impulse comes down from God, it first goes to our rational side. If it were a prophet, how does a prophet work? So prophet works on a very high level. So the pure word from God comes down first to our rational side. We struggle to deal with it intellectually. We want to use all our wits, not be stupid. We want to get a good education, for example. Do lots of experiments or whatever. But then, once our wits are at our wits' end, we need to also shift over to the inductive side of awareness and this other kind of thinking here. And that ultimately, the use of our imagination and intuition, is what distinguishes us ultimately from the animal soul, which is, in this narrow point of view anyway, is the deductive side. The ability to balance these two sides, I'd say a slightly more emphasis on the right side, on the side of the intuition and imagination. Thinking in terms of the tree of life, we have the Bina on the left side and Chochmah on the right side, those two sides. So we want to have the two balanced on this middle pillar. You might say Abraham on the right, Isaac on the left, and Jacob in the middle. And that's the level of authentic action where the two sides are balanced. Intuition and reason are balanced properly. Allow the person to get to authentic action in his life, or enlightenment, whichever way you want to look at it.